them Leeds Rhinos taking on the Salford Red Devils. Go on, Phil, you can go first on this one.
I just really feel for Salford at the moment because clearly they've been inactive for 2 weeks. I think it was Ian Watson said the best they could hope for are a couple of training sessions. That will energise them in some respects, but I just think they won't be match fit. If Leeds can start at a pace, big miss for Leeds is Cameron Smith, who I think has been their best player this year. Fulfilling the potential that I think a lot of people thought he had when he was signed in the first place, particularly carrying the weight of a name like that. But they are two very evenly matched teams. I do like the way clearly Ian Watson coaches his sides. I do think Leeds have got some issues at the moment in the way they've readapted following the restart. But if Robert Louis is back, I think that will bring the best out of Reece Martin, and probably Leeds will just about have enough, as you would expect me to say.
I'll back Tui Lolahay then to come back to haunt Leeds again with another really good performance like the one against Hull. I think, it's an issue for Salford not having played for that length of time. It should be fresh at least. But yeah, I was impressed with them against Hull. I thought they looked pretty good. Were able to cut loose at times. Leeds, still some ways to go in terms to get to where they need to be. I think it'll be a close one. I'm going to go Salford. I'll go Salford by 8.
I'm just going to side with Leeds just based on the fact that at least they've been able to train for the last couple of weeks. And that's going to be an advantage to them. Unfortunately for Salford, they've been screwed over by no fault of their own. So Leeds by 6. Sunday, 3 games kicking off at 1 o'clock. Hull, Kingston, Rovers taking on the champion St Helens, Paul.
Well, this will be the easiest one, I guess, to predict this week. Hull KR, obviously, were very entertaining for a little while. That game against Warrington, they could cause a few problems playing that way again against St Helens, but Saints' defence is just superb at the minute, and they're piling on the points too. They just look red hot. I can't see Hull KR having the quality or the physicality to be able to cope with that Saints pack. I think they're just going to get run over, to be honest. Saints by 28.
And the massive disadvantage for Hull KR again is that the fixtures have not been kind to them. They played one game and they've had virtually a month without playing, and then we'll play St Helens and Wigan in a space of about 6 days, and that's a really tough ask. The downfall of Hull KR the last time they played was they just made too many mistakes, and in the end Warrington got them on the back of their own mistakes. If they do that against St Helens, they'll be chasing their tails. So I'm going with Saints. I think the fact that Saints ground out a very impressive win against Castleford by not playing well will have pleased their coach. They've gone 180 minutes without conceding a point, which is astonishing under the new rules. You just can't see anything other than a convincing St Helens win.
Yeah, Saints by 18 and over 2.5 shots of Sean Wayne in the crowd when they've just shown Morgan Knowles do something if it plays. That's followed by the other Hull team, Hull FC away, Warrington against the Huddersfield Giants. I mean, Phil, how do Hull come back from this one? Because we mentioned Salford have had 2 weeks off, but Hull have actually had the players being ill or showing the symptoms at least.
They are under massive pressure anyway, because I think the manner in which they came back before all of this story broke was no different than how they'd gone into lockdown, and that proved to be a massive disappointment to Andy Last, to one or two of the other players who have columns in newspapers, who said, I think we've got an attitude problem. On the back of that, to then go through this 2 weeks whereby they didn't know if the symptoms that they tested positive for were going to come out. I think it's a really, really tough ask for Hull, and I think they'll feel the pressure as well. The weight of expectation of all their fans is now starting to become a millstone, I think, because of the way that this year's gone. So I think they really are going to struggle. Huddersfield, again, they've been really solid coming back. they probably do need to open out the play a tiny little bit more. Obviously, not having Lee Gaskill has affected that, but Aidan Caesar is one of the top players in the competition. He can make any team pay, and that Hull at the moment can't get a settled halfback combination. Huddersfield have got a guy in one of those positions who clearly could dominate a game like this. So I am going to go with Huddersfield, and I don't think they'll blow a side away, but I can see them winning by about 12.
Oof. Given Huddersfield's recent luck and results, you're tempted to go Hull by 1, aren't you? But yeah, I think Phil's right. I think Huddersfield have been pretty impressive and really unlucky, actually, in the last couple of games. Hull, I expect a response from Hull this time. There has to be one. If there isn't one, then the pressure really is on. So I expect Hull will be better. But I fancy Huddersfield to get over the line this time. I think it'll be a close one. I'm going to go Giants by 4.
The one thing I wonder about Super League at the moment is I know coaches shouldn't be under pressure because there is nothing to lose this season. But there's the stalking horse, and it used to be Sean Wayne, but now it's Brian McDermott, the most successful coach of this era. He was just twiddling his thumbs somewhere, possibly in Europe. I don't know. I remember
he'll be hugging a tree somewhere in Scotland, I think.
Maybe he's looking for Boris. I don't know.
I hope he finds him.
Huddersfield hammering Hull FC at Anfield last year. And I think they'll win again. I'll go the same as Phil. I'll go Huddersfield by 12. And we close the weekend off with the main event of the weekend as Wakefield travel to face the Warrington Wolves at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. Yeah, go on, Paul. You can go first. I'm happy because you said KR Saints was the easy one to predict. So obviously, you think this one's much tougher.
No, not really. No. Listen, as discussed, Wakefield were better this past weekend, but they're down on troops. They are struggling. They're hurting a bit. I think they've got a little like Hull KR. They've got something in them that can cause Warrington a few problems. But I just see Warrington having too much strength, too much structure to their play. I think they'll take the game to Wakefield and grind Trinity down. Actually, I think it'll be reasonably comfortable for Warrington. They don't score a ton of points, to be fair, Warrington, but I would say 16.
They'll score a ton of points, but 16.
Warrington by 16. No, they'll score more than 16. They'll just let in a few more, I think.
I reckon this may well follow the same pattern as Warrington Hull KR, that Wakefield will try and do the unorthodox early on to put Warrington off their stride. Warrington don't seem fully settled yet in their best combinations. I suspect they'll finish stronger than Wakefield on the basis of the fact that your bench is so important these days, and Warrington do have some big guys to come off it. Interesting that they're offering around Declan Patton, so clearly he doesn't figure for them in the near future, even though that squads are going to be pushed to their limit at some stage. I don't want to upset you, Rich. We're not near enough for me to offer you a handkerchief, but no, I think if Warrington are going to have to hit some kind of form relatively soon if they genuinely are going to make that top 4, because there is going to be a logjam of sides for 3rd and 4th spot. At the moment, they just don't seem to me as strong as some of those that are vying for it. I'll go Warrington by 12.
See, if I said Warrington, I have to hear the 4020 TV mass, so you can't hear what I'm saying. Maybe that's what I'm saying. But no, I've lost my glasses now. Jacob Miller, who's looking more and more like Brad Davis as the days go by. I think it's the hair. He's going to get the drop goal that wins the match. It's interesting you mentioned Deck Patton, because I was there at the game at the end of last year. I think it was the round before the final round when Patton managed to play the ball into touch, which is something I don't think I've ever seen before. I don't think I'll see again. He's one of those young players who was heavily hyped by somebody on this programme who's not quite worked out for him yet, but there's still time at the World Cup next year that Sean Wayne will have indeed Deck Patton and Jordan Lilly, that's his name. in the house for England. Who can play for the England Probables or the Exiles or Wales or someone, I don't know. Find some blood from somewhere else in you, and you might get to that World Cup still. I'm avoiding saying it, but Wakefield by one. Sorry, I don't care.